A situation, an idea, an outcome. The different perspectives and our individual experiences. This is what it all comes down to. Like this building, for example. Do you know it? This has been my second home for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Just to see like this small.
Now I'm finishing the education here, leaving school to continue working outside these walls. What is it that I carry with me from these years? As tools, references, and knowledge. What will this building be to me in the future? Or rather, what will my memories of it consist of? I remember watching it burn, standing on the hilltop by the church, looking at the thick clouds of smoke that came gushing out of it. It came as a surprise how emotional it all was to me, and I realized then that I tied a personal bond to this building. By the looks of the other students that were there with me, they just realized this too. When the smoke had settled, a central part of the building had disappeared. The lower pavilion, where we'd held most of our presentations, as well as student bars and parties, the nice wood workshop, the ping pong table, the material shop, and the old piano that used to fill the space with quirky tunes. The flames had transformed them all into memories, etched in our minds. As I'm leaving the school, the whole school is leaving the building. A new one is under construction, about 400 meters away, up at the KTH campus. Its expression is different, and its context is new. I wonder how this new building will affect the students and their education. And what will the old school building become when it's emptied of its reason for being? I picture a tune from the old, now burnt down piano moving through the empty building. Like a voice of the students that were here and played it. The building was an instrument, and the students made the music, which was shaped by the building's physicality, materials, and the sequence of the spaces. When I'm thinking of what this building is to me, it's like excavating different layers in my mind. I can put on my analytical glasses and look at this place in terms of understanding its construction, its pedagogical ideas, the general structure of the plans, and how different site regulations and circumstances affected what it became. I can also wear the historical glasses, seeing traces from students that were here before, sitting in the same rooms as me, thinking of other rooms in buildings so real in their minds, but a total fiction in reality. How the stress and frustration and doubts I have felt so many times in here probably is exactly the same as what they were feeling. Or I can wear the glasses of nostalgia, remembering events that took place here over the years. Friends I've made, the late nights of working when the school is ours, us blasting loud music in the studio space, so tired that anything would make us laugh. Or I can put on the skeptical glasses, where I see everything that's wrong with the building. How worn down some parts of the building are, how the poorly functioning ventilation system gives us headaches, and how freezing some rooms become during the winter. A mental image I have of the building is that it's like a concrete box, buzzing with creativity and ideas on the inside. From the outside it's a closed solid, but lifting its lid, a river of ideas and thoughts flow out. I think of the 44 years the building has been in use. Since it opened its doors in 1970, almost 6,000 students have studied the whole or parts of their architecture education here, counting the exchange students from universities all over the world. How many projects and ideas have been created here over the years? And where are they now? Have they rooted somewhere in the outside world? Or do they make up an underground universe in the building's mind bank? A parallel reality with alternative worlds. At the school library, they show me a collection of student-written magazines from the first years of the school. Flickering through them, different images of the school and tone of the students in those days appear. It was all very political, communist red. Demonstrations and money collections were held in support to the Vietnam Communist movement and to the cleaners of the building. The students were quite unhappy with the school, asking the architect Gunnar Henriksson questions about its expression, the height of the windows and other concerns. They made plans and drawings for different interior alterations to the building. And neighbors of the building were invited to see the premises and listen to the school architect choir. This place is a world of sounds. They tell the story of what happens here. Some sounds are the building's own fingerprints, timeless in their expression. But some sounds disappear over time, replaced by others.
En ständig kontorsgrupp, va? Ett receptförslag. En grupp som kan informera nere vid almarna.
At night, only the building's own sounds are heard. The systems and pipes that makes out its pulse, heartbeats and breathing. Are these sounds the same today as they were 40 years ago? Or can we hear the age of the building by listening to them? But rather than listening to the sounds of the place, the stories that occurred here, one can look upon it as a physical object, because at the same time it's a machine, a backdrop to everyday life, a grid to life, and a piece of art. When I feel my nose start running from the chill inside the computer lab in the winter, it's the machine that's failing to keep me warm. When I'm arriving to school, leaning my bike against the concrete gable facade and walking up the stairs, its shape and colors make up the backdrop to my everyday life here. When us students squeeze past each other in the narrow spiral staircase or meet up in the central cafe, it forms the grid for the way we move and interact here. And when discussing the building regarding its architecture, it's often viewed upon as a piece of art, pretty or not. It's a neo-brutalist piece of architecture, true in its expression. Now as I'm walking around in the building, I'm looking at it with the eyes of the future. It's as I'm looking at something that has already happened. Knowing that soon, me and everyone else will be out of here, I kind of see it as a museum. All these spaces and events that builds onto our reference bank for what a school is or should be, or what it shouldn't be. So what will happen to this building? Some people want to tear it down, having the ugly label it's always had, being called the ugliest building in Stockholm. I've heard the owner, Akademiska Hus, have plans of turning the ground floor into a food court with offices on the upper floors. In the third year of my education, for the bachelor project, some of us worked with converting the school building into an urban building consisting of housing, offices and a public program by choice. My project included student housing, a rooftop park, open office spaces and a big public park with exhibition spaces underneath. The idea with these exhibition spaces were that they were there for the whole of KTH to use for exhibiting their work, as a way of opening up its doors to the public and showing all the exciting and fun things that are made up on the campus, secluded from the rest of the city. Maybe this building could do this, but in an even more direct and organic way. It's been great the way the school has always been open for us students, making it ours to use when and how we like. And how its worn down rawness has encouraged us to use it as a canvas, filling its walls with posters, making installations in various places in the premises without having to be concerned with leaving traces or damaging its surfaces. Couldn't the students get to use this building, as an extension to the new building where they could really try out their ideas in full scale. If money wasn't an issue, I think we would all agree that this would be a great way to deal with the building. I can imagine crazy events here where the public is invited to listen to live music in student-run clubs and music festivals. I can see new volumes popping up on the roofs. There could be climbing contests on the facade. There could be theater and modern dance performances in spaces built and designed by the students. I can see school classes being invited to draw ideas and temporary scenes which the students would interpret into rooms and objects. They could have collaborations with concepts. But I know. We play by the rules of economy. Maybe some rich architecture enthusiast would see the great effects a place like this would have on the whole architecture scene, instead of building another fancy art space. Making the public engage and realizing architecture isn't just some self-important elitist profession, but something that is fun and limitless. The vastness and complexity of the profession is what's so exciting about it. But it also makes it really important to getting the chance to materialize the investigations and ideas in order to understand what they are. Some studios in school work with this. For example, this fall, a studio in school is building a house for them to use as a workspace for the rest of the year. It's located far up at the KTH campus, unknown and unnoticed by most. But for these students, lots of things are learned by trying out their ideas. They get to work with, touch and smell the materials, and eventually experience the positive and negative results of their building when using it after its completion. The old architecture school building could do this full on, as a workshop in progress, a creative hub of experiments. It would be like a new alternative culture house that would boost education, put the school on the map internationally, increase the level of the profession, and make architecture exciting, inspiring, and fun. Because this is what I've been thinking about a lot during my last semester in the school. How to get closer to the architecture we design. What the lines we draw become in reality, and which effects and stories they stage. Because what we draw lives on and creates stories, impressions, and memories. We draw the instruments, but do we know what the music will sound like? What are the buildings after the architects? So leaving this building, I will bring all of this with me.
Där mätte och tittade på